All set?
Recording.
Okay, I want to welcome everyone to today's meeting, the Rockland Board of Sewer Commissioners working session. The listings on the agenda are those matters reasonably anticipated by the chair that may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for the discussion to the extent permitted by law. This meeting is being recorded for playback later on WRPS Rockland and YouTube. With that, I'll take a motion to open the meeting.
Motion to open the meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, Mr. DeRoss?
Yes.
Ms. Valley?
Yes.
And Mr. Hessian is a yes. The meeting is open. Minutes, I just want, and I know there's no meetings up, but I wanted to tell you, I'm good up to 3:14.
Okay, that sounds right. 3:14. That would be true. I think I have 3:28 done. I just didn't distribute.
Okay. We'll go to Robin a little later. Quickly bring you up to speed yesterday. I went to the meeting of the water commissioners, Abington Rockland Board of Water Commissioners. It's pretty interesting. Their meetings are so drawn because they really have two meetings all in one. The Rockland meeting's got to open, go through their stuff, then close, and they have to close, and they have the joint meeting. Well, anyway, there was a lot of good feedback going back and forth, and they agree with the suggestion of a joint meeting. And Crystal and I are going to get together probably sometime next week or the week after and work out a mutual agenda. They're going to get feedback from their board. It was also mentioned that maybe we should reach out to the Abington Board of Sewer Commissioners and maybe have the three of us come together, which, you know, was going pretty good. So again, they mentioned a meeting of a joint meeting with Abington, Rockland Sewer and Water, so that's a good one. Now, the one I found out interesting is that they are also discussing assessing municipal fees, user fees. My input was that we're in the process of discussing it, and by the time we have to give them, if it does go through, we have to give the town time to plan, so anything we do would not be till fiscal year 25. But it's funny that, because it's fiscal year 24, and if they're gonna do something, they have to probably put something on the articles for taxes.
Right. That would be.
Or maybe we just hold a special town meeting, but
Yeah,
this is gonna be pretty controversial, so I wanna.
It
really
is, and we
kinda
want to
walk
make
through
sure
this.
that we,
Yeah.
approach it in the right way.
Yeah, I don't think we should run into something like this. But I thought that one really good. They're really into the same boat we are as far as capacity, because believe it or not, all this rainwater, they explained to me, is not good for them.
Really?
They depend on snow melt, so. Now, another interesting thing that came up with, they have the same problem we have basically as far as sump pumps, except they have it with irrigation systems. So one of the subjects come up is that maybe we have a joint program. They want to get rid of irrigation systems, and we want to get rid of sump pumps. Maybe like not a buyback, but a credit of some sort. So I think that may be something good to talk about as well as one of the agenda items. You know, kind of one of the guys referred to it as a gun buyback program, but I don't want to really go that far with it. But like I said, I thought it was pretty good. They followed the same format as we did. I brought this just to show you guys that was their agenda, how they went right down. They go through their financials as well, which was educational. So that's what that happened. Let me see.
Do they still give discounts for seniors or no?
I think they do, but I think they're talking about, if I understood them, no, we didn't get into it, so I don't want to say anything on that. No, we did not.
At one time, if you hit 65, they would give you a percentage off.
I don't know, I don't
Then they
want
stopped
to.
it.
That's the one. I think we really need Robin for the next one, before we kick it for the whole business. Unless you want to go into moratorium and your municipal fees now, or?
Yeah, give Robin a chance to
First of all, did you happen to see my emails on the project manager, the
You
costing?
wanna talk about superintendent now?
Yeah, this was
Got it.
just the project manager.
Yes.
There's one for you. There's one for you. I did, the reason I did
Revised,
two
yeah.
is if I put it up to 120,000. So we're pretty much on track. I mean, the big kick in the hours for this month was on the generator and on the digester piping.
Mhm.
So it was a total of 11 hours this month, which really isn't too bad.
Awesome.
So that's all that on the project managers. What did you want to go into superintendent now, or?
Yeah, we can do whatever.
Let's go into
All
superintendent.
right. So, because I thought that was the lead-in for the superintendent.
That came up as well, and they also mentioned that, oh, I know, it was interesting. I want to get into one thing with them. They have a clerk. I asked them their clerking position. They have two full-time, one handles Abington, one handles Rockland.
Mm-hmm.
They're in the process of hiring a part-time clerk for billing and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they had over 80 applicants in a week for that part-time position. So what they're gonna do is they're gonna, I guess they have a candidate that they're gonna fill. They're gonna forward us once we advertise it, they're gonna forward us the application resumes if we want to call. They said they had a lot of good candidates.
Great.
They asked me about the interviewing process. I said, as far as I'm concerned, that could be, it's gonna be done by the board, yeah, with Robin's participation and Stacy Callahan.
And from what I understand, Stacy had sent that job description, I believe, to the union. That was she was waiting for before she advertised
Repeat that,
our
please.
clerk. Sent the job description over to the union.
Oh, okay.
That's what
I haven't
she's
seen
waiting
anything
for.
on that, so.
Yeah, that's what she's waiting for before we advertise.
Superintendent position.
Okay.
I also, I'll wait till you're done.
Okay, good.
I also asked Weston Sampson to prepare what it would cost for a scope of work to have an individual take over the whole collection system.
Mhm.
My feeling is that if we can't find a qualified candidate, I think the system is in such a shape, especially where we will not be able to allow any development, that it could get nasty politically, and I think we need a solid engineering firm, if we can't get a candidate, to take, not the heat off of the sewer commissioners, but to get a professional opinion on the board, say, well, here's why you can't have new development. You know what I'm saying, that?
Like an engineering consultant.
Yes, and, but I want them also to come in and take over the day-to-day activities. So they're preparing that. My feeling is that if Rick had one other body to do the inspection work, or a body to help him here, to do that, the inspection, he could handle the inspection work, and as far as reviewing the prints and all that, the prints we could just ship off, email to them. They don't have to be
Okay.
resident here to look
Right.
at, but I asked them to look at that, because they do that in several communities, as far as overseeing the collection system. Weston Sampson, right, Pierce, Violi does. But I said, okay, prepare something as a scope of work that would have to go out to bid. My feeling is Veolia would be easier, because they could do it as a amendment, but would their cost be amenable? And again, this is not something I think we could do to fiscal year '25.
Right, because our budget's done for
Yeah,
24.
so, but I mean, it's just another avenue we can look at, unless someone walks in and blows us away with experience.
So my question is, can this person actually speak for the town of Rockland? Is there any conflicts? I mean,
No,
they're
there'd be
working
no,
for
like,
another
the
company,
other, we,
liabilities.
right, but we're not the only ones, we're not reinventing the wheel. I mean,
Mhm.
so it's been done, and I imagine speaks for the town of Rockland would be through the board. I mean, we would have to, I imagine, approve everything, I don't know. He's gonna line out how it works in other municipalities and of that nature and get back to us. And I said, if you need be, could you just come in and explain it to us as an independent third party how it's handled.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how does it work?
Can we speak to those other towns?
Sure, we could. I imagine there's no reason why we could
I
not.
think
I
that would
mean,
give us a real solid idea of,
there's no reason why not. When we did the contract for, at the time, Suez, for the new operations contract, I came on after they already worked there, but I still called other towns to see how they were doing in other towns. So, just as a back, and as a matter of fact, there was another one, not Aquarian, there was someone, maybe I think it was Aquarian, that bid on it. I called them as well to see their references, but no, there'd be no reason why we can't.
what I'd like to see is somebody here at this location.
Yeah, I would too. Trust me, I would too.
You know, on a full-time basis.
Because I think if that would be, if we had that, to handle the spur of the moment, quick snap
There's
decisions.
just smaller items, this is the
Yeah.
piece that we are missing.
Right.
You know, somebody that can go to town hall to the department head meetings, somebody that can go up and meet with Doug on budget, somebody who can, you know, go over these invoices, pull together the ARPA documentation.
That's what we're missing.
That's the piece
And if that's
we're
the thing we
missing.
could ship to them to do and make sure they're here on Mondays to go to those meetings,
Mhm.
that'd be a burden off of us.
They'd have to respond to the residents, you know,
Mhm.
take care of these manhole covers or whatever came in, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's the little piece that we're missing.
I think that's all really all we are missing, to be honest with you. I mean, I think we got a solid handle on everything else.
Yep, I think everything else is on
My
track.
concern is right now, is one thing that did come up at that meeting was, how come Dave Taylor's got all the time to look for grants?
That's what this person would be doing.
Yeah.
That somebody that just has time to sit in front of the PC for 2 hours and find a grant.
But
Or
see,
call
that's technically,
somebody,
that's what
or-
Veolia and Roy Pierce is supposed to be doing for us now, once that, I wanna go back to a contract now. So I don't lose track of that, I don't mean to jump around. Part of the presentation to the Board of Selectmen on the 7th, I believe, was to get approval for $1 million in ARPA money and 1.5 in a bond. That was to cover the guaranteed maximum price of design of the facility upgrade, and in that portion of that 2.5 million was, I believe, was probably 150 to 200,000 was for site work on this facility, soil borings, ground testing, the whole 9 yards. I sent Doug an email, I believe I CC'd you guys on it, that he said it's okay to sign that contract with Veolia to proceed on the site work. I'm waiting on a copy with the legal mumble jumble, for lack of a better term, that I told him to save Robin all this confusion, to email me a copy to read, email Chris Kenny for his approval to get his legalese input, so there's not a bunch of copies floating around. Then once he's done, send it back to Veolia to give us a final copy, and then that final copy the three of us look at and sign. So we should have that. He told me I'd have that last night. It didn't come in, so hopefully I'll have that tonight. So that was that. Now I forget
That
where
site
the
work
hell it
doesn't
was.
have to go out for bids or anything like that?
No, because that's being covered by ARPA. All we had to do was, remember, that's the 2.5.
Yeah.
That portion doesn't, no, that portion doesn't, because they're doing the soil testing as a contract to, Veolia as a contract override, as a task order. The physical construction in the bidding to do the design work has to go out under ARPA. I have the email that Doug said I have his approval, so I'll make sure you got a copy if you don't already.
Yeah, maybe.
I think I did
That's,
send it to
I
you.
think, I know you sent an email, I don't know if that's
I'll double check, if not,
specifically in there.
I will make sure I send that at home when I get home. Dan, you gotta start checking your emails.
I haven't checked them.
Sure.
I read the one, I got the one from Mary.
On the same subject, I've been putting together a checklist for these ARPA projects.
Okay.
That's just a sample, but pretty much it's these documents that we need to be very aware of to make sure that we're getting a copy together. And I'll sit down with Robin and see what she already has. That's what we're gonna put in the book. The goal is to have a binder with all the necessary documents for
I like it.
each ARPA project. At some point, an auditor will come in, understandable, you give them the book and say, here you go. And
Okay,
then
so you
as
gotta
know,
create one of these for each
For
project.
each project and contractor associated with the project.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'll take a motion to end the meeting. No.
But I wanna sit down and work with Robin first, see what she has,
Right.
you know, she's ultimately going to be the one collecting the documents, so she might have some ideas. She's always been very helpful.
As far as the I&I work, today they were on Taunton Street up by the school, Howard and Taunton. They're hung up on Howard Street because of that water main break, but
Oh, that was bad.
they
They're still down
moved
there?
up to Taunton. Yeah, they're still down there today. I guess with a significant break. But see, they're in the same boat we are. They have more so because all the clay pipes. You know, what I found out, that water main pipe is, with the pressure of the water going through the rock, blew an 8-inch hole and blew a rock right through it.
Oh,
So
Yeah.
I think we're gonna be seeing a lot of problems once this starts residing. Okay, where were we?
where were we? So, we're talking about...
Municipal fees?
Sure.
No, we're talking about the
We're talking about the
superintendent.
superintendent. So you've talked with, I'm sorry, Weston Sampson?
Weston Sampson,
Okay.
Frank Occhipinti, to put together, what it would cost to do a proposal to go out to bid to operate the sewer system. They tell us what we need. I gave them a ballpark thing, but it'd be nothing would go out until we all review it, because I wanna make sure everything is covered, even get Robin's input on that. But again, my big concern is that the dire shape of this infrastructure, these pipes, it's gonna have to be a very cold, callous look at it, and I think it has to come from someone other than us at this point. I think we have the credibility, but I think we have to emphasize it, because the bottom line is that, especially after this election, for example, this fire station is gonna impact the tax dollars, $300 a family. And it was brought up at that fire department meeting that, the sewer department all taken care of. Well, the sewer department's not taken care of. We're technically still taxing you $7 for it. We're gonna be taxing you $100 a year more. So this is all adding up, and I think someone's gonna somehow come in and put a curb to the spending in town. Drastically put a curb to spending. It's like a homestead, we'd like everything, but we can't afford it all. I mean, I was looking at I'm going out and paying my tax bill this week, and it's not pretty.
I know.
Wanna
No,
pay-
it's not.
Wanna pay ours?
Residents are unhappy.
Yeah, and rightfully so. I'm unhappy as a resident.
Yep. Yep,
But-
so it's gonna be
Again-
hard for us to start upping the fees for these residents.
It's cruel,
But-
but we have to do it, and people have got to realize that.
This is a necessary service, it's not something that you can just let go
Yeah, I mean,
anymore.
we'd all like shiny new fire trucks and police cars and libraries and community centers, but where does the spending stop?
Well, and
But, we
Can't flush
have
the
got
toilet,
to
then it
keep, we
gets
have to
real.
keep pushing to do this, and we don't have a choice. You have to
And-
pay this.
yeah, and the problem is that, this hole of I&I that we're stuck in, and the fact that we're not gonna have any new developments for a while to bring in income.
It's gonna be 2 years.
And that's where these grants are gonna come in. We really need someone to start looking for a grant. And, if we could, tell me if I'm wrong, if we could get $3 million, we could be out of this hole and back.
We need 4
running.
million to get out of the hole.
Well, okay, 4 million. But that would get us out of the hole, back on board, open up the moratorium.
4
Life would
million
go back to the
would
way
get
it's
us to where
supposed
we should be, and
where
we
should
could
be.
open up reasonable development. Reasonable development means
Yeah.
if we approve a big project, we have
Yes.
to have the discipline to remove that, to
And start
investigate, remove that
Doing the
I&I.
I&I work that should be done in the time that it's supposed to be
Right.
done, and then keeping an eye on the flow capacities. I mean, it would just be the way.
It'd be the way it should be
department
run.
Should be running.
Right. We're at
So,
the point now
my
that
idea is that we need to target and get this, find $4 million.
we have to find how to get that for.
And I would like to reach out to our state representatives and our federal representatives and start, you know, making some contacts and draft a letter that says, you know, here's where we are, this is what we need, you know, you help us, or, you know, tell me who can help us.
Right.
And
Well,
really
that's
start to
what
get
we're
that
waiting
ball
for.
rolling.
Is I'm waiting for a report that should be done for our next core team meeting on the upgrade. Veolia and Weston and Wright Pierce Financial Group are working on a list of grants
Okay.
that we
good.
could apply for.
Mhm.
And once we get them, we have, now that next meeting is scheduled for, I deliberately put it off this week. I think it's for next Friday we're meeting.
Okay.
We'll see if
I
can get
still
those.
would like to invite those representatives to come sit at this table and talk
Oh, I
to
would
us.
love to too.
You know, what's
Especially
coming
the
down the
cost.
pipe. Yeah.
Come in and tell you, here's where we are. We cannot take in anyone, and I think the thing that's gonna drive it home to them is if you've been reading, they're trying to do that big push on, especially up at the base, on moderate to low income housing, 40Bs. They're really pushing them. Healy's really pushing. We can't take it, and we're at the point now that they can't make us take it. Because
It's not
we
only is it the 40B, but it's the denser housing that they want
Right.
to encourage
we can't afford it.
transportation. No,
We can't take
we
it in.
cannot do it. And, you know, if that's what they want us to do, then help
Then
us
tell us
achieve
money.
this. Help us,
Yeah,
yeah.
but the key thing is, we are not getting income.
We probably have no place to put it.
No, we have no.
Our flow's too much. We
Our
can't
flow's
send
too
enough
much.
to go back.
Well, it's 3.3 right now.
But, you know, the hope, and it's only a hope, is that if we get that 4 million, fix all our pipes,
That's
that
not
will
gonna
give
fix
us.
all the pipes.
No, I know, there's always I, but it'll get us out of this enormous hole that
It'll
we're
get
in.
us out of the enormous hole that we're in.
But
And then-
we're always gonna have a hole because these pipes are old.
Yes.
Right, and it's just as everything else. You go further, the back end is gonna go. So
Yes.
that's what, like
But
Sherry
that'll
said.
start getting fixed when we get development money coming in. Then we
Right,
can
as
start.
we get to the point we've got like development, we can no longer, what they did is they kept developing, and the funds were going elsewhere, but even if they were banking on it, they didn't get it. If we let one guy in, we can't let the next one in until that I has been
It's
removed.
gone. Right.
That's the discipline that's in flow management. You have to do it.
Right.
And it's gonna hurt for at least 3 years. I see 2 years before we can let anything real big. When I say real big, I'm talking more than 4 bedrooms.
I'm just saying, I see more than that. I could see it a long time because it's gonna be an ongoing thing.
It is, unless we
Yes, it
get,
is.
unless we get the grant money.
But right now, we're running at the back of the pack. And if we can get that 4 million in and do what we need to do and get us up at the front with everybody else, then we'll be,
Okay.
all right, well, that's what I'd like to do, is invite some people down here.
Yeah, no, okay, you know what we'll do?
Let me work
Why
on a
don't
draft.
why don't we do this? Why don't we set that for our main priority for May?
Okay,
Main priority for May was that I'll reach out to Dave DeCoste and see if he could sit in on, would you want a working session or an evening session? You know what, it may be easier for him in the evening, I'll leave it up to him.
whatever is convenient for them.
I know his boss.
I'm his boss.
We are.
I know his boss. In the Republican Party.
DeCoste and Keenan.
Keenan.
I mean, I know that they have been down here and have seen the plant, but
We don't know, they haven't heard our fish.
I didn't have the opportunity to speak directly to them.
No,
And we
I
haven't
still, to
heard
this day,
back.
I still don't know what was said.
So
Who
I
was
would
the
just
other
like
kid?
to get this ball moving
Yeah.
in some way.
Who was here when the day they were here?
Doug Lapp, Jen Constable, and Lori Childs, and I believe Michael Laughlin.
And they kept them away from you guys?
We didn't.
We just weren't invited.
We just weren't invited.
That's next.
Okay. Moratorium. Have you,
Did you revise that in any way?
yeah, revise it somewhat.
I have not gotten a copy of that. You have one with you? Want a copy off?
That's not it.
No, that's the last thing I have.
No, I'll send you a copy of it, so we can table that.
So I have unicorns coming up this month, due on the 10th, and
What's going on with Concord Street, the 2 Concord Streets?
That's what I gotta find out from Robin when she comes in, that's on my list of things to ask. The moratorium, what I changed was basically from 50,000 down to 10,000.
Numbers.
And I put in that the permits are good, that's the other thing from that water meeting, permits are good for 2 years. You know what they changed, the water department? Permits good for 1 year.
I believe it.
I'm
No, they
I'm
changed
down
it to
with that.
1 year.
I'm down with that.
And I said, I'm fine. I said, I told him, I said, that's interesting. I said, we just found out last year about they were only good for 2 years, and we've just notified people that their permits, they're gonna come in and talk to us, or they're gonna be void. I said, they've already done that. They're telling they're giving out, they've already sent out notices that permits are good for 1 year. You don't use them, you lose them.
I'm totally what we should do.
Well, I agree, but we have the 2 years in the book, and once we get that through town meeting, then we can start looking at what we want to do. We can say, this permit's good for 1 year. And 1 year, I think, is reasonable.
Is this the fact just gone through?
Yeah, that's what I'm chasing. That's ordinance, rules, and regulations, really where it stands still with that with town hall, the town meeting.
Now, town meeting, the commissioners should be prepared to speak to any of the articles in case there's questions.
Yeah, but what we should do is meet before that, and
Yes.
we'll discuss that, how we want to do that.
Okay.
Pat Brennan, I called Pat Brennan last week and asked him to monitor the school project, especially where we're gonna be putting flow meters around town. The flow coming out of there was really, really, really high. So we have got to curb that, because we're gonna have to hold the they're gonna have to adhere to their permit of 43 gallon, 1,000 gallons max coming out of that complex. Anything after that, they're gonna have to pay I&I fees, because it's killing us. And one of the things I did let me see, I did a municipal sewer use, and I broke it out. This time, I put out what their normal fee should be and with the I&I. If there's 100,000 gallons of I&I coming through there a day, which I'm pretty sure it's a little more than that. David estimated 139,000 gallons when he was talking to the EPA. That's just that 100,000 gallons of I&I is costing us $250,000 a year in treatment. So that's other things to get up. And they're again, going back to the Water Commission, they're in the same boat with that we are as far as chemicals. Their cost of chemicals have skyrocketed. And I said, we're feeling the crunch too. So with that, I guess we can take Robin whenever she wants to. Robin, whenever you want to come in.
Okay. Hey, Christian? Just wanted to know,
I'm gonna be asking if you guys would vote to reimburse me $100 for printer ink and all the printing I've been
I'll make
doing.
the motion.
Oh, no, let's wait till we're on.
I second. Oh, wait for Ron.
Let's wait.
And,
As far as I&I schedule, I gave you guys, I sent you guys a copy of the I&I schedule. And they don't follow the schedule, because I've been chasing them around.
does that schedule, do we need to coordinate with highway in any fashion?
The way Weston Sampson wants to do it, they'll do all the coordination. I said, that's fine by
Okay.
me.
Great.
But I know, I've been chasing them around, and they never seem to be where this thing says they are. That, Miss Day.
All right.
Can I bring up a couple things for you though? Just, you know,
What?
can I bring up a couple things? That
Oh, I
maybe,
thought you said cupcakes. I was gonna say, no, absolutely not. I'm on a diet.
I'll take cupcakes. You haven't heard anything from Concord Street or Beach Hill, have you? Beach
No,
Hill,
but I
see?
have a note in here from David on Beach Hill. He said he's gonna provide us a summary.
Oh, yeah, no, I sent that. I'm talking about the letters about the connections. The
Beechwood.
365 Concord and Beechwood. We
Oh,
sent them all that.
Beechwood. I don't think so.
Okay,
But you never know. If I turn the page and it pops out at me, I'll let you know.
okay.
All right, we
And
should-
I told Robin, I took pictures of 978 Union Street. He was in one time about capping the house because
Yeah.
of the fire, because of the raccoons and all. The house is gone,
Okay.
so he never came into it. So
So-
my feeling is if he comes in for a permit to connect, charge him for a new connection.
House is
Can
gone.
I have a piece of your yellow paper if you don't mind? I didn't bring in my pad and I wanna make a note on that. 978 Union,
Yeah, I got pictures if you want it.
of the cut and cap.
No, I got pictures of the house being gone and the markings on the street.
God knows if they capped it.
Well, the thing is, I don't know if he did. No one was
Right,
there.
and we don't know even if he did it correctly.
Roto-Rooter, I called the guy at Roto-Rooter, he has not returned my call yet. I did leave him 2 voice messages that said we need 3. And the one thing I wanted to make sure that he was aware of, that this, just even if he should get one, no one's operating under his blanket. It's per drain layer.
This is Roto-Rooter and Stoughton, right?
Yep, Dawn, something or other. And as far as drain layers, Robin brought up a good idea about, when we get the ordinance back, the rules and regulations put in, where we have a cap on drain layers. If someone has a one-time, why don't you explain it to one-time only?
Oh, so we were having that discussion about drain layers and how we're getting oversaturated and these people are coming in to do the big projects and we
One
got hit
time.
by that one up on Dyer Street. It was Dyer Street, right? So then we were having that discussion, maybe we put the moratorium on, but then what about people whose uncle happens to be,
Right.
homeowners? So we were kicking around the idea of, what about a one-time drain layer license at a reduced rate instead of paying for the full year if you're only gonna do one job in town for a homeowner if you're related to them. That way, we wouldn't be penalizing homeowners who feel confident that my uncle's a drain layer and can do this job, but forcing them to use someone else. So maybe if we put the cap or the moratorium on new drain layer licenses with that caveat, except for,
Tie it to the 440. I mean, then you're keeping a nice base level. If you're under 440, these are all the rules. You can get your own.
Okay, so
drain layer.
any-
So I'm
I
suggesting-
understand exactly what you're saying, so for any project under 440, you could get a one-time drain
Yeah.
layer license for
Right.
one day,
And
or one job.
that'd be a typical family residential.
Alright, so
Right,
under,
right.
you guys will have to talk about that and vote on it?
Yeah, well, it should be written up.
Yeah, I'll write it up, or you
Will
can write it up,
Yeah.
One
I'll let you-
time, one
or Dan
job.
can write it up.
And then you can add it into the ordinance, and then that would solve both problems, and it wouldn't penalize residents.
Right.
Okay.
And then if it's over 440, do we require Rockland?
I'd say after over 440, you gotta be on approved drain layers list.
You have to be an already approved drain layer.
Right.
And that would cover all these projects where they're trying to bring in a drain layer and,
Yeah.
we've run into problems.
While Robin's here, before we do that, let's talk about new connections. 335 Beach Street. He's building an in-law apartment, there's no bathroom, it's just a kitchen.
All
Yeah.
right, so I have that one in here, let me catch up to you. Cause I have some notes on that. All right, 335 Beach Street, okay.
I'd make a motion that we approve that. The only thing I'd wanna see on that would,
Is
if
that-
on as-built, if you could show where the sewer line is level.
Isn't that the one that was
Right, but
crossing
we
the
have,
water?
we have.
But that's why I
to
sent you that email, if you had it.
Right, I just got your email and I
Okay.
didn't have it, so I don't wanna
Okay.
approve it yet. I don't think that you should, I think you should look at the drawing and make sure it doesn't cross the lateral.
Well, see, I looked at, but it didn't show the lateral, so if,
Well, his drawings, our
Right.
drawings have
okay, no, we'll
laterals.
hold off on him until next week.
Okay.
The next one is 333 Concord Street.
I'm
That's it.
sorry, before we move on,
Sure.
he did ask if he could be added to a future working session agenda to review his packet and advise of the building permit process and all of that. I sent you an email, all of you, on March 30th.
Do you want him to have him in next week? That'll be April 11th.
Do you have his contact information to let him know about the meeting?
Yes, I'll get it for you. That's April 11th. It can either be April 11th or April 18th, his choice.
And someone's gonna pull the drawings that we had?
Yeah,
Well, I emailed you all the drawings.
we have the drawings.
Oh,
I
I'm
downloaded
sorry,
them.
yeah.
So here's the issue. The permits are now on a software program called Permitize.
Mm-hmm.
I capture the drawings and email them to you. And they're small, but you can expand them on your screen. But he
Okay,
wanted to come
that's
in and
fine.
talk about it in person.
All right.
And my only concern was I didn't see the lateral with any markups for sewer. So it works out good, we'll have them in.
Yeah.
Next one I'd like to talk about, if I may.
You know what?
We asked her.
You're cramping my style because I'm flipping around trying to catch up with you.
Okay. 333 Concord, Weymouth Street, that's the HVAC.
I have questions about that too.
Shoot.
All right. And let me find it. They sent me a check along with a copy of a bill.
I thought he was coming in.
I did too.
Yeah, they called,
Yeah.
said where it was a small connection of that, I didn't think he needed to come in. All it was on the fee, that's what I came up with the fee figure.
Okay, so he sent me in a check along with that, and I didn't know if the project was approved.
Yeah, I didn't see any approval.
It's only a toilet.
We haven't approved that, I was gonna see about getting
This
that
is-
approved today.
This is the guy with the toilet, but we also still had a question about if the addition was crossing the
They're
lateral.
on or
It
not?
did not. It was not crossing the
Oh,
lateral.
so that question,
Yeah, no, I saw that, it's not crossing the lateral. We asked Eric in here that day, and he said, no, it was not.
oh, he was here. Did you see it on a drawing?
Yeah, it shows it right on the drawing where it's coming out.
Okay, so, because I had notes on here, that
Yeah.
should be reviewed by all commissioners before being mailed out. It should be a PDF, and it should be sent from the town email account, so you said you
No,
wanted
do you have a
was-
copy of his
That was
drawing
the
here?
fees, but where's the drawing? One of these we declined to approve because it was clear the sewer and the water were crossing.
That wasn't it. That was, what you're thinking of is the one on John Dunn Drive, not John Dunn, John Burke Drive. John Burke Drive.
What is
That
that?
was the garage that was going over the drawing.
Yes, you said that.
All right, so,
When I asked for him, matter of fact, I think they have it up here. What I asked was for him to put a lateral where it crossed over.
are you talking about a different project now?
No, I'm trying to stay on this one.
Hey, Terry.
No, 333 Weymouth Street, the addition, no, never mind. One bathroom, butter conditions, he had satisfied.
He was only adding a
Here it
toilet,
is here.
Yeah,
but they were expanding
Yes.
the footprint of the building for the addition, so the question was, does it go over the existing lateral?
let's just double check.
No, here's the sewer right here. He's coming out, all he's gonna be going over is a small portion of a sidewalk.
Right, but did we ever pull our drawing that has the lateral on there? Because his drawing didn't have the lateral, does it?
His drawing shows it right here.
Oh, it does, okay.
Yeah. Shows it right there. There's the sewer coming out,
Yep.
and here's his extension going into that same point and out.
Is that a plan?
Yeah, and a clean out. We
Right,
we
and
marked
I
it.
I asked him to put out a clean out, give him the choice of 2 points.
The guy that was putting our sewage in down where we live, didn't want to put cleanup. Who did you have the sewage?
I haven't got the plumber to show up yet.
On the account of,
All right, wait a minute, don't confuse me, don't confuse me.
what you said did you have? Who put, who the power put in?
I wasn't there, previous owners.
Okay, so,
So,
go ahead, Robin.
all right, so I had notes from the last time I was in front of you about this project, saying it should be reviewed by all commissioners before being mailed out, meaning this,
Meaning,
and it should be in
The
PDF
fees.
format, and it should be sent from the town email account, and then
Yep.
you said, I will forward them all to you before they go out.
Okay, then what I will do is I'll double check it with Eric again today.
Well,
But,
well, you don't have to double check it, but it didn't happen that way, and now I have a check for a project that I don't even think got approved.
It did get approved, I was going to approve it, hopefully we'd approve it today.
Yeah, how
Well,
much is your check for?
There's a bill,
I sent them, he asked me if I
Let's
could see what the fees would be.
Oh,
So
we
I
had
sent
a-
him this. I didn't, my
okay.
signature wasn't on
Yeah,
it.
yeah, okay. Well, right, how much is that, and that's what he sent us?
right, and that's,
Okay,
So
I
I'm gonna
understand.
just say, I wanna clarify the fact that it's not going over the lateral. I do not think it is.
all right. So he has to come down here and actually get the permit,
Okay, I'm gonna ask him to come in next week.
all right.
I would like to see letters of approval go out for this kind of stuff along with,
Well, I didn't,
and no, I'm not saying, I'm just saying,
It's not right, if
What
anyone's
I'm saying
confused in the
is-
works, it's me.
yeah.
where'd this come from?
Yeah, just as a general process, I think if a project's approved, it should have a letter of approval with the fee schedule at that time. And yes, it's fine to say, because they wanna know, it's gonna be roughly this
Yeah.
much, but
Well, I
you'll
told him
get
that
a
it would
final
probably be going
letter.
on
is
today.
the-
I will
is the last-
contact him this afternoon.
Yeah,
So usually they know what the fees are at the table, so if you wanna do the background work for the fees, and then you guys can all look at it and talk about it, review it, and approve it all at the same time, they know what the fees are, we can create the letter, I think, didn't we create a template letter? And then it's all done at the same time at the table, they're not getting a surprise letter, everybody knows what the fees are, what the project's all about, all at the table.
Mhm.
And then we'll send a letter,
Mm-hmm.
does that sound good?
Yep.
Along with this bill?
Mhm.
Alright. Alright, so that one's 330 Wayman Street, that's all good. Were you voting on it today?
I was gonna vote on it today, but I wanna get a letter, clarifying that it is not going over the lateral. I'm comfortable looking at the drawing if it's not.
Do you want me
No.
to deposit the check or should I wait?
I'm positive, but if you're more comfortable waiting, I'll leave that
Doesn't matter to me.
And the
deposited.
cleanup,
Yep. Oh, you think they already agreed to go out and it was gonna be on the permit? I think I put that right on the fee thing.
Alright,
Okay, that's all I had.
alright, so I'm gonna go in the order that I think I should. Barry Ashton is a resident of Rockland. He sent in a letter to Chuck because he went, you don't have the letter, I have it, Chuck. He sent the letter in because he contacted Doug Galemi back in December, and Doug Galemi is on the, planning board? No, conservation. So, he sent him a letter and then Doug Galemi got back to him and said, it was about a drainage issue, and he said, you gotta send the letter to Chuck. I got the letter from Barry Ashton right here, and I explained to him that even though we do drainage, that, highway does drainage out in the field. So he said I could open the letter. So I opened the letter and read the letter and sent David out there. He already had a history he didn't realize with David of that area behind his house. So his concern is that National Grid was up there doing some work and parked some heavy equipment that compacted the ground. And now he thinks that's changed the way that the ground absorbs the water and it's going around the compacted area, and he got water in his basement. Could have been that huge rain event that we just had, but I called David Taylor and he went up there. He's already been up there, and he responded and said, we followed up on the Barry Ashton call in regards to open drainage that runs adjacent to his property. There is a slow movement of drainage water. We will be setting forth a plan to clean up the outfall areas and rear adjacent catchments, and we left a message for Mr. Ashton yesterday and today with no callback. So
Barry, I believe it's in Florida.
he was here the other day because he handed this to me in hand.
say that again, he's gonna clean up.
Barry's just gonna get back to him.
But David's gonna go forward, and he did notice the slow movement of the drainage water, so he said he's gonna set up a plan to clean up the outfall areas and rear adjacent catchments. Typically, they do that in the spring, and sometimes the crew here gets involved with the spring cleanups with our pumping stations. So it's all that happens in the spring. All right, David said he would give you a summary of Beach Hill. I don't have it yet, but I just wanted to put a note in there so I remember that I'm expecting it. He also gave us a correspondence, so you and David were talking about Center Ave, I think, the manhole.
Yes, I
Okay.
sent him the email and that.
All right, so he just forwarded a correspondence from John Laughlin from 2019 that says, Dave, please add manholes to your list to raise and reset. So it was 4 of them on Center Ave, 1 on Market, and 2 on Hingham Street, so there's at
No,
least
that's fine.
7.
That's on that invoice that came in for the manhole covers.
We got manhole covers from a 2019 authorization, is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is in
It's like a
2009,
normal
right,
replenishment order?
right. Then David will go on and explain it more in the next email that I think he sent to all of you. But basically, for cost savings, David would always order the manholes, and then when he was doing stuff out in the street, he would coordinate with the superintendent to replace those manholes as necessary or as
Yeah.
needed. Meanwhile, the ones up on Center Ave are special because that's a state road and they're locking manholes. That's their requirement. He had ordered 12 of those for a project that he must have discussed with John, and he's been looking through his correspondence and he was able to at least send us this one. But I don't know, because he did say that there were 10 for Center Ave, so there might be more to come.
And I could understand that because that was COVID time, so it probably got kicked in, backburned that, so it didn't get done.
And
No, as
now-
long as we have something for the file that explains why we're showing that out.
Now,
that's full.
specifically for the Center Ave manholes, David sent a correspondence to all of you that says, Chuck, so Chuck sent the first one. David, would you please supply the board with a brief narrative on this project, meaning Center Ave, and how it affects the sewer department / use? If you would suggest, is this something we should have on reserve? Meanwhile, the 12 manholes came in, their special order, it took 18 months for them to get here.
That's about
And-
right.
Ah, really?
Yeah, so what happened was the first time David cycled around as interim, he must have ordered the 12, he was gonna order the manholes. But he thought, you know what, I'm not gonna get involved, we're getting the superintendent, so he didn't do it. And then we had Keith for 5 months. When David came back, he said, oh, those manholes never got ordered, so he placed the order, and now 18 months later, we've got the manholes. So what he's saying is, I would suggest carrying an item under repairs and maintenance to cover road work upgrades, or set up an account specifically for road work upgrades. In the past, the sewer department has had the highway department implement the sewer manhole upgrades in conjunction with ongoing road work. John Laughlin would have us purchase sewer manholes and/or any additional materials to upgrade manholes. If it runs with our road projects, the contracting prices / procurement is significantly lower where we are replacing drainage manholes and catchments. National Grids pays for theirs, the water department pays for theirs. We will be forwarding a road project list with all structures related to each department that is affected. And the Center Ave project has 10 sewer manholes which need to be rehabbed or repaired. Starts at the Abington end and proceeds down Market Street. You will need to reach out to District 5 for permissions and compliance. So he sent that to all 3 of you
What's the date on that? I'd like to-
today. Is today April 4th?
Yep.
Today's
Yes.
Tuesday, yeah. So this all happened like yesterday and today.
Oh,
I don't know what District 5 is, so
Oh,
somebody
yeah.
will probably have to answer back and
It's
say.
this
if you have-
area, I think.
Right, but
But-
he doesn't give any contact
Yeah,
information.
we'll find out.
yeah.
Yeah, it's gotta be District 5 for the state, but he probably has the contact information and just didn't, for whatever reason, put it
Okay,
in
I'll
there.
ask him.
That's
That's
one of
right.
those missing pieces.
Then we did Raymond Street. So that was interesting to find out that that's why it all happens that way.
See, it's good to ask questions.
Yep, so here's 330 Raymond Street that we already talked about.
I figured if the, doing the construction, I figured the price of the manholes would be part of the construction bid. Or fixing the streets.
Sometimes David drops them in depending on if he's doing road repair work, I think he was saying.
I mean, if they're gonna redo the resurface, I figured they put on new manholes if they needed them.
Who's they? Us?
So the contractors,
Right, but they get the manholes from us because we have to order them special.
oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've always had the manholes on hand here, and when something comes up, they come down and get a manhole. All right, so, 335 Beach Street. That's another one that requires approval of the building permit. And is this one we just talked about?
Yep.
Invited, oh yeah, here it is, invited to,
Yeah, April.
jeez, get my head on
I
right.
should have kept my mouth shut, just.
Right? All right, so I have this in here, March 8th, we sent a letter to the Rockland Zoning Board of Appeals regarding 0 Pond Street.
Right, I was gonna hold off on that, I'm glad you brought that up. I was gonna hold off on that till after the outcome of last night's meeting, or tonight's meeting, that I found out is canceled. What's your feeling on sending that to 0 Pond Street as well?
I can't comment. No
Okay.
comment.
So you wanna wait until after the zoning meeting?
I kind of do, because it all depends on their ruling on that Zone A.
All right, when's the next zoning meeting that
They
didn't happen?
haven't scheduled.
Oh, they didn't schedule it?
I just got I sent I emailed to Rob Rosa about, to let me know if it was on today, because I didn't want to waste the trip up there, and he said, no, it's canceled, that's all he said. Let's sit on the 0 Pond Street for a little bit more.
Okay. I can never remember all this stuff, thank goodness it's all in this book.
Don't lose it.
Don't get any ideas, because if it goes missing, I'm automatically gonna think you took it, you know that, right?
Just remind me to bring up what I mentioned about the water department in the part-time before Robin leaves.
Yes.
All right, so this is dated March 27th, it's from Rick at Veolia. Please note that we have to start PFAS sampling in the third quarter, which is 7/1/2023.
Yep.
Footnote 12 of your permit says this reporting requirement for the listed PFAS parameters takes effect the first full calendar quarter after the effective date of the authorization to discharge under the general permit. Until there is an analytical method approved in 40 CFR Part 136 for PFAS in wastewater, monitoring shall be conducted using draft method 1633. So he says Veolia will be using the alpha analytical for PFAS sampling in July. So he wants you to know he's in compliance.
Yes, and that is all, that reference that he made to the 116 is also gonna be the EPA protocol that they're gonna use.
All right, so what
Does-
did, I'm
Does
sorry.
that need to get noted in our May reporting to the EPA?
No,
Okay.
that doesn't, July 1st.
Separate. That's just that we know and understand. Okay.
What did we say about the drain layer application for Roto-Rooter? The 2 references, we're not accepting that?
I know, I told him that, like I said, I called him twice. Finally, I let, mentioned on the voicemail that do our regulations call for 3 references. We do not want to set a precedent. He's to resupply at least 1 more reference. And he is to make sure that if he is approved as a drain layer, it's not to be used by other contractors. It is not a blanket operation, blanket drain layers license for Roto-Rooter. So he has yet to call back.
I wonder if they're gonna keep flying under the radar.
No.
We'll just have to keep our eye out for that.
I could send him a formal letter, if you think it would help.
At least it's on
The
record.
the problem is though, that individual homeowners, they have an issue.
Yeah, it's
They may not
emergency.
be aware that,
They call 'em.
right, they call Roto-Rooter, it's a
course you would.
nationally known company.
There's
Mhm.
another company out there now for.
Oh, I don't wanna get into another company's.
Yeah, there's other companies out there now too.
Hmm.
You buy
Let's just see if
shirts.
he returns the call, give him another week on it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
just
people
call
just,
them.
they probably don't see it on the website, they haven't had an issue before.
And who would think of it, to be honest, with a website, your toilet
Nobody.
backs up.
Right,
Nobody's
you're in a
gonna-
panic and you
You're
call.
gonna call, yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna go.
All right, so, 978 Union Street,
There it is.
this is it. It
Yeah.
was in the book, cause I was thinking, how did that
Aha, I
happen for
knew,
me?
see?
Thank you. All right,
One for
so
me.
The house is,
328 was no news. Chuck will take a drive-by, so
Yep,
look
and I
at
have
you.
pictures.
Look at you following your own instructions to a
yeah,
T.
yeah, you did
You're not even
good.
pictures.
The house is
I'm a
gone.
good boy.
Is that house with a final?
Yeah. It's funny, they left the barn up, but they didn't take, the house is gone. Why they just do the whole thing?
Is that on the way to?
The base, that's where the back road of the base.
Yeah, okay. There was a restaurant down there years ago.
Yeah, there was, a long time ago. That's where Sullivan Tire started out down that road.
Yes. I heard it was the Red House.
So what are you gonna do about that? You're gonna take another drive-by? I mean, we sent him a letter to that address.
No,
That
I'd
was
say,
in February.
I could send, you know what, I'd like to send him a letter, if you got the contact information, I wanna find out who capped it.
Well, the contact information was just that street address.
It's
That's
not
There was a
there
name,
anymore.
wasn't there?
Well, Steve
Steve
O'Callaghan, yeah.
Yeah. If you could scan that in and email it to me, I'm gonna send him a letter saying who did it, why wasn't the sewer department
All right,
notified?
well, you're gonna send the letter back to me, right? To
Yep,
send?
I'll CC you on it all.
No,
Or I'll
no,
send it to you and you can
no,
send it
Yes,
out.
send me
Yes.
the letter, yeah.
Yeah. I wanna reference the ordinance, because I did check that.
You know what's gonna
The
happen?
street is marked.
You know what's gonna happen, like someday down the road, if you start doing your own correspondence like that 330 Weymouth, you're gonna ask me for it. And I'm gonna be looking for it like a loon and not realizing that I had nothing to do with it, and
Wow,
you-
she's turning on me now,
Yeah.
and I mean,
It's gonna
Oh.
bite you,
All right,
it
no,
is.
I'll give
And
it
I'm
to
gonna
you.
get caught up in it and think I'm losing my mind.
okay, we'll commit you.
I'm just saying, I can see where this is headed.
No. All right, I'll send it to you.
All right, so then, now the manhole at Jefferson School,
Rick was gonna contact Dan Dell.
right, Dan Dell's gonna provide a quote. You're good, but I haven't heard anything on that yet. So add to an evening agenda, that was the discussion about NLX North America. Did you add that to the agenda for your next,
No, I did not.
did you have a note?
No, I did not.
He seemed pretty adamant that this is problematic for him, so.
Oh, this is where they take it offline?
Yeah, I mean,
That's the generator.
yeah, it is.
Yeah, because you know it, so you
It's
know.
$8,000 to $12,000 a year, but it's a bigger problem if we
If it
mess up the
stops
generator.
working.
So
Yeah.
you know, wait a minute. I did send, as a matter of fact, I sent him another email today. I want proof of this, dude. I know I did. So I sent Rick an email, said, did you notify them to stop that, or?
You did ask him if he wanted to do it one more time or not.
Yeah, no, but I sent him another email today because I said, I don't remember if I sent it to you, but I'm worried that the next startup of that generator is the last one. No, I did send it to him.
Right, but we have a contract with them, so I
Yeah.
think you need to have that conversation
All
and
right,
see
no,
how we get out of the contract
Resolved
before you
officially.
just
Yeah, where's the
do it over
contract?
on the side.
okay.
The approved waiting list,
That's on me, I did not get that done.
that's right, Abington Flows,
Have it to him.
Abington Flows. That was just something that you guys wanted to talk about.
How much are they on?
Maybe we were able to take some of Rockland sewer to Brockton for
Yeah, no,
Abington.
but, no, Trent's table that for now.
All right, and then Dyer Street, nothing, that's older.
Yeah, he's on the list to come in April too. He
Oh,
hasn't
so the
heard.
notice to end Zoom meetings, oh, he's not gonna show up.
Oh, yeah, no,
I mean, 3 times you had him on the agenda for
Yeah.
his $1,000,
free
discount.
refund, yeah.
Yeah, refund.
Yeah, April
I mean, how many
20th.
times are you gonna put him on the agenda?
No, I
You're
think
supposed to give
it's
him
like
money.
you said, that he panicked.
Yeah, right, like he doesn't have a leg to stand on.
No,
The place is a wreck. All right, so,
So their work is still stopped, right?
Zoom is not gonna stop.
No, back to Dyer
No, no,
Street.
with Dyer
Street,
Construction
Dyer
was
Street.
halted last week, we stopped construction there because of the
Right,
failure
he
to
said,
test.
Pat
So
Brennan
that is
stopped it.
still
I have not heard a
stopped.
word. Pat said he was gonna contact
and
me.
Pat told them they had to dig up the entire project.
That bad.
Well, no, he has to go back from the
Literally.
line out to one of the
Right, and are
buildings.
you gonna use the same, are they gonna use the same drain layer that didn't do it correctly to begin
No,
with?
he's not going to, he can't. But there was also
Does he
another
know
one, I
he
was
can't because
contacted by
we-
a resident that the drains that they put up at the top is going into his property, so Pat's aware of that as well.
So here's the issue, we licensed
So-
that drain layer, and if, are we gonna tell that, we have to rescind the license, you can't just say you can't do the
Yeah.
work.
Well, Pat, I can't do anything till Pat calls me up and says he's gonna be up there. Right now, he was told to excavate that line so Pat could see it,
Right.
and he hasn't done it.
Alright, so when they start
So,
doing the work again, are you gonna allow the drain layer that we licensed
I think the
to do the
drain,
work?
I think he's liable for it, I mean,
Yeah.
but with me and Pat, Pat's gonna be there and I'm gonna be there, he's liable for the work.
So he has to do the work until it's correct?
Right, and then we could just
That's
say
true.
bye.
Yeah.
Okay.
He probably doesn't wanna work here again anyway, I think he was from Revere or someplace. That's
He was.
Yeah, I mean, that's a little bit of a hike in the morning.
He was from Revere.
Alright, so he has to do the work.
He has to excavate that.
Better wear a bulletproof vest.
No, me and Pat will do
Yeah,
it.
you
She
and
won't
Pat,
have to.
I don't go to site visits. Can you imagine? Yikes. Me on a site visit?
That's it, she's a blonde woman.
It's a I don't wanna say anything. I'm working.
Alright, so there's that, and now the Zoom meetings got extended again.
yes,
Already
it
said for a
did.
year.
For 1 year?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think you should think an April
I thought that
meeting
was
at the
2025.
2025, right,
Yeah.
April 2025, 2 years.
2 years.
So I think April meeting, as a matter of fact, I did put it on the agenda. Let's discuss when we wanna have our monthly meetings, do we want them late in the afternoon or where they're recorded anyway, and on Zoom?
Alright,
No,
So,
okay, were you done? 'Cause
That's
I got
the
some
April,
good news for you.
that's on the April 20th meeting.
Yeah. It's already on the agenda.
She doesn't want
I'm
to
not
have
sure
good news.
yet. Chuck will send Dandel, see Dandel at the project for an update, and that was Beach Street.
And they were gone when I went up there that day, remember?
Alright, but didn't I say earlier that David said he
Dave's
was gonna
gonna-
write something?
Yeah.
Well, let me put that, I didn't have a chance to get my book in order. It was so quick.
Okay, send a new book,
Probably a bigger one.
looks bigger.
It's gonna
No,
be
it's
going
not.
into-
I-
It's gonna be moving into
When
volumes.
stuff is, right, I have volumes. When stuff is done, it goes into the done book in case it
Perfect.
comes up again, because I won't remember. I'll have to go back to the book. Alright, so there's that. The next thing is the school project. ACOM did the flow before and after. Is someone overseeing the project? Any update on that?
Pat Brennan's overseeing over the school project. Next time he goes up, he's gonna call us. Right now, their portion is off until July, the flows go down.
Oh, so we won't hear anything till
No,
July?
For a while, yeah.
No updates.
I'll send you a copy of the email, I think I did. No, I did not. I got a copy from email from him and the contractor. I'll send those to you.
Alright, no updates till July. Alright. They still haven't done the work up there, that's not until May in the parking lot at Dynavac, where they went over the manholes. Nothing from Rick on the carbon monoxide, that's still pending. The IPP program,
He was waiting on a call from Environmental Partners.
are we gonna let environmental, so here's the issue with the IPP.
The inspections.
We need to do we need to add to the program.
Expiring, yeah.
So the application is affected by the new NIPD's permit. That was the one thing. The other item is we need to add in, Rick seems to think there are 2 car washes because N&R does a car wash when they fix your car. So I don't know if that's
And I
not
also had
necessarily
another
a car
question
wash.
for you on car washes. You know the car wash at the garage at the corner of Plain Street and North Avenue? He sells used cars.
Kevin,
Get down there into Plain Street,
139, yeah.
right intersects North Ave, right on right hand corner. I always see him out there washing cars that he's selling. Now, I also remember when I
That's
was on.
not N&R?
No, I don't know. And I also remember being on the zoning board that he was told not to wash cars. So I don't know if he got approval to wash them now.
I think it's different owner.
So I don't know what the criteria is to be entered into the IPP program as a car wash. I mean, the one up on Center Ave is strictly a
Right.
car wash. N&R is washing cars for people when they do a service.
Okay, I don't know, but anyway, what I asked Rick to do when he contact contact environmental partners on the IPP was to give us an inspections protocol, the steps to follow, outline an inspection protocol.
I think we can get that stuff free from Justin.
I think you have to have some kind of thing in the ground, everything runs into like a pit,
Yeah, it's supposed to be a separator,
yeah.
but, no, that's
So
one
the
of the policies we
inspection
can do.
protocol for car washes,
For car washes and, anything on the IPP program,
Right, but-
do we follow
do you
a
know what they're
checklist?
gonna do? They're gonna call Justin Pimpare of the Mass DEP and get the instructions, and we can do it.
Okay, well, I asked Rick to find out if that's the case, then,
For car washes and dental offices,
right, inspection protocols, that's what I call them.
yeah.
I mean, the coffee shops have grease pits, same as
Well,
I'm
there's a lot of
grease
grease
pits.
Right, but those are internal
Right.
grease traps,
Yeah, but-
those are, the Board of Health takes care of internal grease traps. We do outside grease traps in the ground, we already have that.
Like the one that's outside of China Plaza, right in the street.
Right. In my mind, that was under the umbrella of IPP, because that's the way that John Laughlin had it, and I have it in that folder, and Justin Pimpare from the EPA or DEP, wherever, he was fine with that, and he said you should probably continue to do that, it's not required. But then the guy from Environmental Partners really got like a bee in his bonnet over it, because they're not really IPP. It was like, okay, it's just in the same folder.
Yeah, but right, to me, if Mass DEP accepts it, you know, why make waves?
Right, he said you do, it's a good thing to do, just keep doing it. So what all it is we set the parameters for how frequently you need to get your grease trap
Yeah.
emptied. And
Where that's overflowing at work.
we send the superintendent out, or right now we send Veolia out. So I contact all of the providers based on the window that they're
Yeah.
supposed, and then we come up with a monthly schedule. And then our providers go out and inspect that when it's emptied. And if there's anything wrong or anything going on, we can let the owner know. We charge the owner of the business for that service. It's not even enough to cover the hourly wage for the inspection, but nevertheless, it is what we do. That's the whole grease trap thing. The internal ones are overseen by the Board of Health. We do the outside ones.
Outside ones.
But now that we have the audit, Justin Pimpare said you really should be adding the dentists and the car washes to that.
How about the fire department?
What about
What
them?
about the,
Because they wash their fire trucks
Yeah.
Right, but I
inside.
don't think it's
No.
everybody who washes their cars.
No,
It's
it's
just
not.
a car wash business
Yeah.
who, like you said, has the drain in the ground and,
But when they, I'm just saying, it's a wash.
don't mention the fire safety, because that'll bring up another argument on PFAS and all that, so don't.
it's really just the car wash business. And
Right.
Justin said the one car wash that we have is up on Center Ave. And now Rick says, you know, if we open that can of worms, I mean, you probably wash your car
Yeah.
in your
No,
driveway.
don't- that-
I live in
let's
a
not-
condo.
Let's not make
What
it,
about, yeah,
let's not make it any busier than we have to. What is the rate we charge for, inspection?
$25. And I
Okay,
mean,
that's
that,
gotta change.
why? It can be pricey for people like Vivi's Kitchen. Remember, we waived the fee, or we expanded their time frame during COVID?
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's why she was complaining about it. You know, sub shops, they pay $25, and sometimes some people, their rate is every 6 months, other people are every 2 months,
That's
some
fine.
people are every
How
3
often?
months. It depends on the size of their grease trap and how much business that they do. I don't know what the parameters are that John used to set them up, but if I set up Wendy's, I modeled it after McDonald's, because McDonald's was already in place and they haven't had a problem. We would know if there was a problem because the superintendent would be out there and say, you know what, that grease trap, there's nothing in there, or that one's almost overflowing, we need to tighten that window. So somebody, say, who's on a quarterly might go to 12 weeks or 7 weeks or 8 weeks, and we would keep monitoring it.
Okay.
So I would say that I would stick to the car wash on Center Ave and the 4 dental offices that were already
Okay.
identified by the DEP.
Get that
Okay.
cleaned up first.
Yeah. Then there are other fees involved. The $25 is for the grease trap inspection, right?
That's a,
But the permit, there are fees associated with the permit, the different levels of permit.
no, I was
whether
just thinking of the
discharge-
inspection.
We don't permit the people with, yeah, we do, actually we do.
Hmm.
They pay a permit fee every 2 years as well.
Okay.
And that process is where we tell them the parameters of the program, which is changing from the NIPD's. That's what got me nervous.
The ones that are coming up on expiration.
Yes, which they might be expiring. You know how I've been doing it? By the seat of my pants. They contact me because they're expiring. The job description for the superintendent, this is from Sherry, February 27th,
Working on ideas.
working on ideas.
While you're on job description, I went to the water department meeting yesterday, and I guess they were looking for a part-time clerk. I guess they've hired one.
Yeah,
And he said they had an overwhelming response to the ad. So I said, send me down. He said they had a lot of good candidates. So as soon as we get that back from Stacy with the union clerk, Claire, I want to give them to you to, just you two to screen through and see who you want to talk to.
all right. They might be a little disappointed because water pays more
Well,
because they're not in the union. They have a private
glad you're up
contract.
to them to say
Oh,
something.
that's right, when it's the last time. All right, well, let's just see where it goes.
Yeah,
I
I
mean, it
mean-
doesn't hurt to talk to
And
them.
it's just good,
No.
it's good to have a pool of candidates and.
I agree.
Yeah, no, let's go.
How many hours was the water job, did they say?
Hmm?
Did they say how many hours their part-time position was?
14 to 15 hours.
14 to 15?
Mhm.
And ours was
More-
gonna go up to 19, so maybe that would make
19
it a little
max.
more
Mm.
attractive.
Yep.
So you went to the water meeting? Is something going on with water and sewer?
No, I just went, I went yesterday to see if they'd be interested in having a joint meeting. Just go over some of the similar things that they had, issues that they have, like an old infrastructure, capacity constraints, how they're gonna handle their future developments. What I was shocked at, and I was telling them, is the amount of water that we've received this winter really doesn't impact them. They depend on snow melt to build up their capacity. So they said this has really not helped them at all.
But having
So they
rainfall
must-
didn't
So,
help them.
so
They're
Like we
running
thought it would.
aquifers over there probably.
how do they
Yeah.
keep groundwater from infiltrating their piping? If their
Well, no,
piping
they
is
have,
different
they
material?
haven't, that's one of the things that they wanted, it's not on this agenda. I received a email from Crystal afterwards, saying they wanna find out how we're handling I&I, because they're running into the same problems.
Oh, so they do have I&I, so they have to treat the water.
They have, that's why they have to treat it, and they've got the cracked pipes
That's why the water
too.
smells like bleach.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so sure, they wanna see how we're doing and what we're doing. I said, yeah, let me send it over to you. They retain Weston Sampson regularly as their engineering consultant. And I said, well, geez, he want doing us, just reach out, talk to him. I said, I can send you a copy of what we have. It's public documents, so.
So they're testing the water for PFAS at the reservoir, or the free reservoir. Then they put the water through the piping system to the houses, and we don't even know what gets in it in the pipes? Well, that's scary.
Now think of it, no.
Well, that's
I
only if
never
you're drinking the
thought
water. I'm still buying it by the
I
gallon.
don't think, but no, but people don't realize that if you got a pipe,
Yeah.
right, that, say it's coming right from the treatment plant,
Yes.
or between the treatment plant and your house, if there's a crack, you don't know what's oozing in there.
Yep. And then you get upset with the water department, but really, it's
Right.
because we need to fix the infrastructure.
Because the pipes
street.
that Pete, that's what's getting in from the pipes, that's where a lot of the coloring's coming from, mud.
Wow.
See, people
So-
don't realize that.
The material of their pipes underground, is it the same material that the sewer pipes
Lots of them are
are?
clay, yep.
They're clay. So in the city of Boston, they're cast iron.
City of
Yes.
Boston's
That's
has
why the water's
Some
some
are wood.
cleaner.
some are around, a lot of them are clay pipes in Boston too.
But
Really? 'Cause
Depends what they was in at that period of time. Like they're replacing now, they replace with PVC.
their water tastes so much better in the city than it does out
yeah,
here.
but some places is wood. Wooden pipes are still used.
But they, yeah, but they got right from the father, like it's
Yeah.
Quincy's water is
Quincy, everybody's.
All right, so Bacon with Joy, they still haven't turned into anything else yet. Robert Manzella We haven't collected any fees or issued.
No,
a
he's on the
permit
waiting
for him.
list.
What number is he on the waiting list?
2,
Who's
right
that?
after 320.
All right, so here, okay. You
First
come
one.
in and you get approved for your project and you go on the waiting list. When does your 2 years start? You could be on the waiting list for the 2
Maybe-
Right,
years.
it doesn't start until we approve you to connect. Once we say like Manzella can go, that's when his permit takes effect.
All right, so it doesn't start once you're approved.
No, you're just on the
You
waiting
just
list.
really get approved and you get on the waiting
Yeah,
list.
waiting list, when we say
And
you can
your
go,
2
you can
years-
go. Now,
okay.
water, it's another thing I brought up to them, water only has a 1 year. We give you the
But
permit,
it's
you go
so
1 year
this-
full trip.
Right,
So,
but there's a little
we have,
disconnect, right?
yeah, well, that's because we have a wait list. That's
Right.
kind of an out
But
of
say
ordinary
I'm a contractor
situation.
and I got approved and I'm on the waiting list, but I got some issues going on. I'm not gonna come back and ask you for the permit, I'm gonna take care of all my issues while I'm wasting your time on the waiting list,
While
right?
you're on the waiting list, that would be the right thing to do.
Okay. But once
If-
their slot comes up, they have to take the permit,
Take the permit or
or,
pass
The
it up.
permit, so when they are, yes, when their slot comes up, when it's their turn, they get the permit and their 2 years.
And if they're not
Alright.
ready to go, then
If
it
they
goes to
haven't
the next
started
guy.
construction.
if they're not ready to go, do they go, does one guy jump ahead of them, or do
They-
they
they
go to
move-
the bottom of the
They
list?
go to the bottom of the list.
Problem.
That's the way it's written in the moratorium. They go right to the bottom, and the next
So you've
person.
been on the waiting list for 2-3 years, some issue came up with your site, you reach out to them to give them their permit, and they say, we're having some issues with our site, and you say, well, too bad, go to the
Well, we
bottom of the
have, we have the
list.
discretion
Oh,
to extend
okay.
it, yeah. It's
Alright.
not an automatic out.
All right, so they don't automatically have to go to the bottom, you can use some discretion.
Yeah, we
Yeah, it
could write them a
depends on the
letter or whatever.
circumstances.
All right,
If
For
they're still
water,
sitting
no,
there
but-
and they don't have a
But
purchase
I'm
and
telling
sales
you, water
done,
gives them 1
forget
year.
it.
Period.
No, our ordinance is 2 years, water is 1 year. 1 year, you use it or lose it.
yeah,
How much water they have? How much water they have?
I didn't
Give
get
up,
into that.
yeah.
I didn't get into
Now, they
that.
got aquifers over in Abington, right?
No, they draw from, Little Sandy or whatever it is.
Down in Pembroke,
Yeah.
Pond.
Because you said they needed snow melt,
That's what they build, that's what they depend on to build up their capacity.
but that'd be an aquifer, that's what they, most places use.
I don't know, that's just what they told
Yeah,
us.
that doesn't make sense.
Groundwater goes away, it dissipates.
I know with the aquifers down in Marshfield, it's unbelievable.
is there any cost savings to work on the infrastructure in tandem with water,
That's what we're talking, that's
when
one
you're
of,
opening the ground?
that's what we're
That's what
talking
I'm
about. That's
thinking
one of
about.
the items we wrote down yesterday, talk about. They came up with a bunch of them. One of the other things that they were talking about, their big thing is getting rid of irrigation as a sump pumps. Why not have a similar program side by side?
What do you mean about the irrigation?
If you have an irrigation system in your lawn, that's what kills their, people turn them on in the middle of the night.
Oh my gosh, don't I know that, when I come down Concord Street, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
So they're saying, we'll pay you, take it out. Or not pay you kind of credit. They're saying we can put the guy, because I said, well, we have the same problem with sump pumps. So maybe there's something we can work, that's part of
We
a lot
should
of
do a
stuff we're
sump
talking
pump
about.
inspection when you sell the house.
So I probably should explain to all of you, because I don't know if you all know, but we used to give out a meter for people to fill up their pools.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know
And
that.
they would meter that amount on the meter, come down, I would record it, and they would get an abatement on that amount,
Makes sense.
right? Except we've been under a water ban since I've been down here. So we don't give out abatements during the water ban, so we haven't.
Mm-hmm.
They have not lifted their water ban.
No, and they're probably not going to,
They never
even
will.
if they
No.
do.
They never do.
No, I don't think they will for now. That's it.
They
They never-
never, since I've lived
I know
here.
that, but the last 4
Right,
or 5 years, but
But,
I've been
It's
35
gotta
years
come up.
down here, and that water ban's been here for 35 years.
no, they lift it occasionally.
Yeah.
Okay, they never took the signs
Probably
down.
just, well, it probably comes back so quick,
all right,
it's
where are
not.
we?
Anyway,
So I just wanted to let you all know that we don't do that, we haven't been doing that because of the water ban for like 3 years.
okay.
All right, so that was Bob Manzella, 48 Carey Street, we doing anything with them?
He was on the last agenda, didn't?
Town,
was,
oh yeah, he sold the
He's
third lot,
approved.
you guys were still talking about his fees.
he was approved for the single family. And
Right.
he was going to come back when he's ready to build the.
Okay,
When he was
so
right, he
he's-
was gonna come back with the final drawings.
Okay, he was approved for the single family. Did he incur any fees with that? Because it was kind of a wash. He just needs to apply for a permit?
Right, I think it's just a permit application.
Is the house knocked down?
But his other lots, now, I guess, are on the warrant to be sold to the Open Space Committee.
All right, does he know he has to apply for that permit?
Yes, he
Do
does.
the work within 2 years?
Yes, he does.
Because I haven't seen him.
Oh, yes, he does. He was explaining that.
Oh. And then 92 Rear Josh Gray Road, nothing's happening with that. 258 Union Street.
We haven't heard back from him.
Oh, that was just how to use the GIS system. That was it.
So when did Stacy say she'd let you know about the union?
She said she would let me know. She didn't give me a time frame. I can reach out to her again.
What was she gonna let you know?
She took the part-time clerk job description and was having the union look at it before sending up the advertisements.
And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send Crystal an email, say don't send us the application, send them through Stacy.
Yes,
Are we able to interview after the town meeting and prior to July 1st?
Yes.
yes, we
Okay.
can, we just can't start, the clerk cannot start working before
Until July 1st, and we can't interview until after it gets voted on at town meeting. Is that correct?
Yeah, I would say yes.
I would say, why can't we
No,
interview?
I would say, well, what if it's not approved? Well, no,
Why can't we interview?
Just in case you don't want to approve it. Yeah.
no, what
Then we're
doesn't
done,
matter,
we're
if
not
the
hiring.
she's a job didn't go through.
Yeah, then we don't.
Yeah,
hire.
why lose as
We
soon
don't
as,
have to, no, we don't have to wait on the interview process.
yeah, let's, as soon as Stacy gets that okay from the union, let's get those other applicants.
Who's interviewing the candidates?
I would say you and probably the board, let you and Sherry and Stacy screen them, then we'll, group of us will talk to her.
You're gonna scare her? Well,
Oh.
it could be a guy.
Well, okay, I won't use that terminology. Do you hear about the guy that lost the superintendent's job yesterday in Easton?
No?
He sent a letter, East Hampton, excuse me, he sent a letter and addressed it, "Dear ladies," because of the superintendent was a woman,
Yeah,
and the woman who was chair of the board of selectmen was a woman, and they had sent him a question about, they offered him the job. And he said it, "Dear ladies, thank you very much." And because he said "dear ladies," it was misogynist.
I tell men that all the time when they say that.
But I don't know about you, but I was brought up, yes ma'am, yes ladies and gentlemen.
hi.
We're leaving.
Okay, I didn't know if you were still on.
No, we're leaving.
Yeah, we're.
That's it, that's it.
Okay, all right, I'll see you.
Nope.
All
He
right,
lost the job, in other words.
Wow.
Because you said ladies.
Yeah, he said ladies,
East Hampton.
it's, what do you think?
Are you sure that's all he said?
Yes, I am, it was in today's Herald.
Wow.
He lost the job. They retracted the offer.
Well,
Okay, let's end this meeting, because I got another comment to make. I'll take a motion to end today's meeting.
Maybe, well, second it.
That's good, Dan. All in favor, Mr. Ross?
Yes, yes.
Ms. Riley?
yes.
Ms. Ashley, yes.